Okay, this is going to be a short video and just a couple of things we want to address. Comes down to this. Suppose we have a line as given, and we want to know what is the y-intercept. What is the y-intercept? Well, remember, slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b, and where the line intersects the y-axis, and this is the y-axis. It's the vertical axis. It's this one right here. That's the y-axis, okay? This one, that is the x-axis. And we can label that. Now, so our y-intercept is going to be located at, see, that's 1, 2, 3, and that would be at 4. Okay? So the y-intercept is 4. That's this value right here. Now, this value is the slope. How you get the slope is you could locate any points on the line. Any points on the line. And with those 2 points, we can either count the slope or we can use the slope formula. This particular line doesn't have a grid, so we may have to estimate it just a little bit. Suppose then that we have a point at, okay, let's use the points that are located at 0, 4, which is right here, the y-intercept point. So the ordered pair location would be 0, 4. And here's another one. There might be a little estimation in this one, but that's going to be negative. Let's see, that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's going to be negative 7 on the x, and then negative 1 on the y. There's a couple of ways to do this. What we could do is count. So I'm just going to bring a line out. Now don't do this on paper because of the technology. I'm going to bring this out, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this up vertically, and where these points intersect, that's going to be a little tricky. I don't have no problem there. Okay, that's not going to work. Maybe right there. Okay, finally it worked. Okay, where it intersects, right in this area, so that's going to be the point to count up to. So let's make our vertical change. In other words, I want to know right now, I want to know that distance right there that I just counted. Okay, so that would be a total of 5. That would be a total of 5 units. So what that means is that the rise is 5. Let's put that over run, because slope is rise over run. It's the vertical change divided by the horizontal change. Horizontally, you have you can count on your number line, but from this point to this point, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it would be 7. So your slope is 5/7. So when it's all said and done in your equation, instead of y equals mx plus b, we can now write y equals 5/7 x plus 4. And that is this equation. That's the equation for the line in slope-intercept form. We could have found the slope another way, and what we could have done was used our formula for slope. Let's plug in the values and see what we would get. I'm going to borrow some space. Let's steal some space from here and plug those numbers in. So we have m equals, now an ordered pair, let's label those. We said a few moments ago that this point was, we said it was negative 7 and negative 1. And this other point right here is 0 and 4. Okay? So we're going to label those points we're going to call this our x1 and our y1. Okay, so let's find some space. Okay, so we have those labeled here now as x1, y1 and x2, y2, and then we're going to plug them in to this formula. Okay, so we now have the values plugged in, as you can see, and we have 4 minus -1 in the numerator. Well, that's going to have something interesting happen because we have a double negative. And when we have this happen, the first one is no different than saying the opposite of. So it's like this one is saying, hey, let's do the opposite of this. Or you can also think of it as a -1 right here. That's a -1 times the -1 here, which is going to be +1. So when it's all said and done, there we get, in the numerator, 4 plus 1, which is 5. And in the denominator, we have the same thing happen that just happened a moment ago. We have subtracting a negative. Same thing as changing to positive. 0 plus 7 is 7. So our slope is 5/7 as we had already determined. Okay, so that's another way to do the slope. So this line right here has an equation that you see, y equals 5/7 x plus 4. Hopefully you understand more about the y-intercept. And one more time, we want to clarify that is your y-intercept. That's the point where the line, when we say the line, this is the line, the point where the line intersects what's called the y-axis, and the y-axis is the vertical axis, okay? And then the x-axis is the horizontal axis, okay? So the y-intercept is very important, and that's placed in your equations right here, okay? And the slope is placed right here. So we found out the slope by counting, and we also found out the slope of the line by calculating. Remember, this is a linear equation. And one more thing before I stop. Be aware of what the slope is before you even get into the numbers. I want you to look very carefully at this line. As you move to the right on the coordinate plane, this is moving upward, okay? And that means it is a positive slope. So just a visual inspection alone would tell you that it's a positive slope. But with all the other things we've talked about, you should know quite a bit more about slope-intercept form of an equation and also about the y-intercept.